Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
Hello, RailCats fans, and welcome back to another edition of the RailCats Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Savedich, and if I'm a little quiet and a little scratchy, a little stuffy, I don't know what happened from last podcast to this podcast, but after I got done recording the last episode, I started getting a scratchy throat, and yeah, now I'm kind of sick to a certain extent. My wife's been sick for a while, so I just happened to catch it, just probably like a common little cold. So I still wanted to power through this since this was a game really not much to talk about, but there's quite a few things to talk about. Obviously, this being a must-win series, really what I said, you needed to sweep. This was a huge series. You get the sweep and you would have brought yourself in within like 2.5 games. 2.5 games from the fourth spot. You still had to worry about Kane County, but I'm just saying from that spot, we're at least within the Dockhounds, you would have brought themselves, that close. So however else anyone else wanted to battle themselves, that's how that would have worked out at least. But as I sit here and look at the finals real quick, King County did beat Milwaukee 6-5, but Chicago beat Cleburne 16-8. There was no ground gained or lost from this loss. Kane County now jumps back into the playoff position, and Cleburne gets knocked out. That this is a huge series for the RailCats, to a certain extent with them, with the Railroaders, because I think the Dogs are really going to handle the Railroaders pretty easily. They should. They should at least take 4 out of 2, I think, personally, in that case. But it's just about battling the other part. And really, you got to take care of yourself. And we're not taking care of ourselves. You losing 8-1. I get that Lake Country is probably one of the hotter teams there now in the top. I think they had them like the top 7 of the power rankings that came out. I get it. I understand why they're there, whatever the case may be. But the Dockhounds team doesn't necessarily impress me fully yet. I guess I haven't bought into how good they are. I just think it's one of those that they've caught in fire, and something with the managerial change, something along the lines of happened like that. And, maybe I'm just seeing them at a different light than everyone else may be. I just think, going through this, looking at the RailCats, there was 4 times in this game the RailCats went up 3 up, 3 down. They ended up with like 7 runners left on base, is I believe the final stat line on that. Whenever I'm going to go look through, actually 9. They left 9 on base while the Dockhounds left 8. But really the big thing that I wanted to kind of talk about, that I kind of kept track of, and I know this is where it kind of gets into what I talked about with the runners in scoring position, is the team, the RailCats went 1-5 with runners in scoring positions, and the Dockhounds went 3-11. But what you have to kind of dig yourself into is that the 3 hits that the Railroad, I have Cleveland stuck in my head. The 3 hits that the Dockhounds had with runners in scoring position was the 2-run home run by Chalop, and then it was the 3-run homer by Groshans. Like, those were your 3 opportunities, and they drove in 5 runs off of that. That's why I'm saying it's important to drive in runs when it matters. The RailCats had opportunity in the 4th where they had bases loaded and they didn't contribute. There was already 2 outs, but Cadell goes down looking, and then you look again, runners on second and third in the second, and Cadell comes out and strikes out. Like, those are just the opportunities that I talk about, is that they're missing out on. Runners that are in scoring positions, that there should be opportunity there, and they're just not cashing that in. Um, the key example is in the fourth inning, Gonzalez um, gets on. Uh, it was a fielder's choice that moved him over to third, but no one was able to drive him in. That was the yet again Cadell. That was the bases loaded situation I was talking about. But other than that, there was nothing major. I mean, finally, Mariaga, looking at the eighth, Mariaga walks. Gonzalez gets hit by a pitch, and then Castillo drives in Mariaga, but then, Lingua gets out. Like, there's the opportunities when they're there and present, those should come through with something. Now, a lot of those are with two outs, so it's kind of hard. It's when you dissect it. That's why a lot of people don't live or die by runners in scoring positions, but that's something that's interesting to look at, to see, you left 8 runners on base, or 9 runners on base, they left 8, but the thing is they scored 8 runs. A lot of the times, and they went 3 for 11 with people in scoring position, but a lot of those times they unloaded the bases, and in those situations they scored a handful of runs, and it doesn't even count the Dockhounds on the portion of walks and sacrifice. Now, there was no sacrifice hits in this game, but I'm just saying those don't count towards or against your runners in scoring position. They had the bases loaded, and Quincy Jones, walks 2 people, hits a batter, and walks a third one in. That doesn't count for runners in scoring position, or that doesn't count as an at bat for runners in scoring position. So it's just one of those, like, when you have to kind of dive deeper into the metrics to really understand. And that's something I'm not going to like dive fully into, but I'm just saying that this is a prime example of the opportunities were there, we just didn't cash in. Now, I'm not saying that Harrison Francis, had his best night, because he didn't. He had, I think, like 33 pitches in the first inning. He gave up 5 hits, 6 runs, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts. Jared Price came in and he did his work, giving up the 1 run, 3 hits, 2 innings pitched. The big thing was Quincy Jones walking 4 people, but striking out 4 people, giving up the 1 run, which was the walk. I mean, that's one of those things. The game was kind of already out of hand to a certain extent. Hillman for the Dockhounds pitched very well. He had 7 innings, 2 hits, gave up 2 hits, 4 walks, and 4 strikeouts. They just came through in key situations when they needed to, their offense, and the RailCats didn't. I mean, when you're looking here, okay, the RailCats struck out 6 times, but when you're looking at the people that did strike out, Cadell struck out twice. Del Valle struck out twice. Valero struck out once. Mariaga struck out twice. So, like, they're your normal culprits to a certain extent, but, there wasn't, like, it was all around the board. I mean, a lot of the times okay, there's 2 things that really have hurt this team, and it's getting hits when need to, and getting hits in general. A lot of times when they get hits, there's plays that have been made that you're like, oh wow, that's really good. It's just one of those, like, oh, there's nothing you can do on that one. And then sometimes it's like a hard hit ball right to someone, or whatever the case may be. You're just not getting that luck, and sometimes the luck of the draw always happens. You get an swing, and the ball goes flying and flipping over and over someone's head, and it lands in fair territory. You get a single, or you break your bat and it just rolls just far enough, or doesn't roll far enough, and then you get on base. Like, those situations always happen in baseball. This was just one of those where, when you needed people to get on and drive in runs, they struck out, or they grounded out to someone. Like, it's just one of those that, in those situations, you wish you would have back. And that's how I guess, if I'm gonna sum up this year, which I'm not saying it's over yet, but we're slowly losing that last little bit of hope, because you got to take these games, and every game that you lose, it diminishes your opportunity to get into playoffs. Everyone is writing off the RailCats. Indie Ball Report's writing them off. Indie Ball Nation's writing them off. This Week in Association is writing them off. Like, everyone's starting to write them off. They don't think they're a factor. I think Kevin Luco said, I think they need to win 4 out of 6. Or they need to go 4-2 over these next 6 games. Well, you already have the 1. Can we go 5-1 or the 4-2, which is perfectly fine if we do. But I think this was one of those where they have to be able to win and sweep this series, and they just straight up didn't. That's just, just kind of looking through it. That's just the big thing that I was going over and looking at it. It's those slight opportunities that you just, you're not factoring on. It is the big thing. So I'm hoping tomorrow is a different story. Like I said, the positive take away from this is you didn't lose, or you didn't lose any ground, and that's the yes, you didn't gain any ground, but if you didn't lose any ground, if you didn't lose any ground, how do I want to word this? If you not losing any ground kind of whitewashes this game to a certain extent. Yes, would you like to gain ground? Yes, but it's not like you're one of those where you took 1 step back, or 1 step forward and 2 steps back. You took you didn't really take a step, you just stood there. But you still have the opportunity. I would say you took a step just because you obviously played a game, but you didn't, you lost the game, but you didn't fluctuate either one of the ways. So I would say, out of anything, the best case scenario, how should I say, when you look at the whole picture, this was the best case scenario, was everything to fall into place where the RailCats didn't lose or gain any ground. Really didn't lose any ground. That's the best way to put it. But yeah, there's not much to take away from this. I know I have 12 minutes of content out of this, but this was one of the games where you just kind of write it up and throw it in the flame and forget about it and move on to the next game. That's the best I got. So yeah, if you enjoy the podcast, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If it's on Facebook or not, on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube or any kind of platform that you're watching it on, be sure to share, family, friends, anyone that's maybe interested in the RailCats, or maybe want to try to gain a little bit of knowledge in the fandom and all that other kind of stuff that down below and all that good stuff. But I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, rest of your evening, whenever you're watching this, and go Cats.
The 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Wrap this one up in green and white.